There are several places to check for student history. One is available during a class session, and it's with the history button that is the icon of the clock that's here in the thumbnail view. In the tab view. And then it's the same icon right here in the thumbnail view. And it's also available as the history button when you have the detail view. So let's go back and check the history for this student from thumbnail view. And so the first tab shows you the student's browsing history, each site that they visited, and the amount of time that they spent on that site. The command history shows all of the commands that the teacher has sent to the device. So you can see here where a site was pushed out with push URL, then there was a site lock, a release was applied a couple of times, some other sites were pushed out, some announcements. The chat history is a record of the transcript of the chat that occurred during that class. And if there were any screens saved during the class, they're available on this tab. So all of that is available for any student while a class session is running. And that provides a quick check if you just suspect that a student has been browsing to sites and closing tabs quickly before you're able to see what they were doing, and it's during a time that they need to be researching, so you were not able to use site lock. Then it can be handy just to come in here real quick, click the history button, and it defaults to their browsing history tab, so it's quick access to see where they've been most recently. This list of browsing history also has an export button. If you need to save that for future reference, you can export it to a CSV file. The other two places to check history are available after a class session has stopped. So I'll stop this class manually, and now we can find the other two places on the classes menu. And you'll have different tabs at the top based on how your classes are imported, but ultimately you want to either find the class under classes, or you can go to the class session history tab. So the class session history for a teacher will show just that teacher's class sessions in order by date. If you're in this area as a technician or an administrator, you'll actually see classes for everybody that you're allowed to administer. So an admin, for example, would see all of the class session history for in the entire system. So here's my most recent class. And by default, I go to the Session Details tab, so it shows the most popular sites that were browsed by the class as a whole, and then some stats about the class itself in terms of which functions were done during that class. If we go to the Session Students tab, then we can find any student in the class, and we get the same history box that we saw during class, where we can check the history of sites that they visited, commands, saved screens, and chats. That's student by student from within one particular class, and it shows the history for that class. The announcements and chats tabs under the session history are for the entire class. So this would be all of the announcements that were sent during the class and each student that it went to and acknowledged it. And then the chats tab shows each student that the teacher had a chat session with during that class session. So all of these are available from class session history, and they're related to one specific class. There's another way that you can look at student history, and that's if you want to see their history across multiple classes. So to do that, you need to find the student in any class that they have participated in. So in this case, I will, from the Classes tab, I'll go to my Johnson 3rd math class. And now I can just choose one student. And their History tab shows their browsing history for all of their classes back through time, not just the most recent class session that they were in. And in this context, it's really just browsing history that we're interested in. It wouldn't make sense in this context to have some of those other items like screenshots across all classes at all times. This is generally one of the reasons for viewing history, and this is also exportable. So that can be exported to a CSV file to have as a record.